Hello everyone and welcome back to Versus, the show that today serves up thrills, chills, and a free twist at no extra charge. Are you a kid that sees dead people? Perhaps an extraterrestrial who hates hydration? Have you yet to find what your max bench press is? Then you might be a character in an M. Night Shyamalan joint. Regardless, you're all welcome here, no matter if you're a 19th century villager, an odd duck grandparent, or a watery tart who loves a late night swim.
I saw you! I saw you!
I'm your host, Mark Ellis, and on this episode of Versus, you and all your many personalities are encouraged to enjoy a scintillating video essay that will proclaim one Shyamalan film the greatest of them all, for the time being anyway. A Knock at the Cabin is his new flick, and if you are in fact a movie character that's bunking at a remote lodge deep in the woods, you're praying that anyone other than Night is your director.
Can you open the door, please?
You see, bad things tend to happen in his flicks, but us audiences can't wait to see what new surprises lurk around every bend of the latest Shyamalan experience. And his career in Hollywood thus far? Well, you talk about twists and turns. He was knighted as the new master of suspense after a stupendous array of critical and box office successes during the turn of the century. Then that heat cooled off to the point of being frozen out of Hollywood's in-demand director Rolodex, but then he self-financed a comeback for the ages and is once again crafting quality entertainment that titillates the senses, preys on our fears, and keeps us on the edge of our seat. In case some of you know him as the I See Dead People guy or the dude responsible for bending air in some very questionable directions, here's a quick recap of the movies that will be in contention today. Wide Awake, The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, The Village, Lady in the Water, The Last Airbender, After Earth, The Visit, Split, Glass, and Old, plus I'll toss in Devil, a film that he produced and created the story for. Ooh, can we sneak in Stuart Little too?
No. Really?
Raise your hand if you knew that he wrote the screenplay for that adorable little mouse flick. It was released a few months after The Sixth Sense, and it's safe to say that there's less ghosts in Mr. Little's film. I think. You never know, between mousetraps and hungry kitties. The point is, we can't trust M. Night as far as where his movies are going, but we can usually rely on him to give us a worthwhile movie-watching experience. Here's how we'll determine a winner. Round 1, box office. Round 2, tomato meter/audience score. Round 3, characters. Round 4, memorable moments. And then we'll do a wild card round, which we do on every episode of Versus. It's our own little surprise ending. What's it gonna involve? Maybe the best minor league baseball player, the scariest villain, the protagonist who eats the most cheese.
Cheese and crackers.
I'm telling you, do not count Stuart Little out in this contest. Last, certainly not least, I do want to hear from you. Let me know what your favorite Shyamalan flick of all time is. Comment or hit me up on the social media. If you're not on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or, I don't know, LinkedIn, then just send a villager through the woods to deliver the message to me in person. Ah, the village. Times were simpler back then in the 1800s. Okay, we're expecting a visitor at my cabin any minute, so it's time to swing away and determine the GOAT of M. Night's career. Let's get it on.
1, 2, 3.
Round 1, box office. Way back in 1999, not many people had heard of this young filmmaker named Manoj Night Shyamalan, born in India, raised in suburban PA, and looking to make his mark in the entertainment industry. His first feature, Wide Awake, had debuted the year before, but the limited theatrical release didn't make much of a dent at the bank, taking in just $300,000. Then 1999 happens, and all of us filmgoers were sipping Mountain Dew with Darth Maul on the cans, stumbling around the found footage woods of Burkittsville, Maryland, and weighing our options about which color pill to ingest. That summer, like a pay-per-view wrestling match, a surprise contender entered the fray, and The Sixth Sense would go on to amass $672 million around the globe. A shocking twist that would become a Night hallmark likely buoyed that impressive amount of coin, as no one wanted to be spoiled on the ending before getting to witness it themselves. Sadly, I did not make it in time, and one of my good friends squawked the surprise. We're still good pals. I'm keeping him around until I get to have revenge with a movie that has an even bigger climactic shock. Could it be A Knock at the Cabin? The Sixth Sense set a super high bar for all Shyamalan projects to follow. His sophomore effort, Unbreakable, held strong in the year 2000, hauling in $248 million. Then Signs crop-circled over $400 million in 2002. All right, so we got 3 big-time releases under our belt and 3 home runs, including the Grand Slam knocked out by The Sixth Sense. The Village arrived in 2004 and kept plenty of coal in the fire with a $257 million take. It wasn't until 2006 that Night fell back down below that legendary $100 million line when Lady in the Water paddled up just $72 million, which still sounds pretty good. The Happening rebounded with $162 million.
What?
No.
Then The Last Airbender conjured more than $300 million in 2010, and that's all we're gonna say about that outing for now. Since After Earth, Split, and Glass have all shattered the $200 million ceiling, and The Visit and Old each got within shouting distance of $100 million. Old was released in 2021 when audiences were still in the midst of a global happening, we all remember it, and The Visit is memorable just because it cost $5 million to make. That $5 million was directly out of Shyamalan's own pocket, by the way. That was an expensive trip to Grandma's house, but we turned one hell of a profit. So what if she acts a little eccentric when the sun goes down? I really like that movie.
Woo.
But this round ain't about liking, it's about big, fat money. And while a handful have come close, no Shyamalan effort has matched the box office power of The Sixth Sense. Wait a minute, good God, that's Stuart Little's music. Beloved by generations of readers, a major marketing campaign, fun for kids of all ages. Could it scurry past the Dead People movie? No, it can't. Almost $300 million in cheddar goes a long way. I'd let M write another movie about a mouse whenever he wants, but The Sixth Sense is the richest kid on the block, and it earns the first point of the day by winning round one. It's Haley Joel Osment 1, the rest of the field, zip.
Oh, so amped! We almost got you, bro!
Round 2, tomato meter / audience score. And now we leap into the round that is sure to reward Shyamalan and his loyal stans. It's here where we look at the critics' and audience's feelings about the director's films after they saw them. It's gonna be a hoot because both sides of the aisle bestowed Night with nothing but admiration. For a while, then they didn't, then they did again, and now, well, I hope that Knock at the Cabin is more than just Publishers Clearinghouse.
Don't do this to me again.
Dude got going with a bang. That's right, Stuart Little is fresh at 67%, but I'm actually referring to The Sixth Sense. Oh wait, time out. His first actual feature, 1998's Wide Awake, is rotten on the tomato meter at 45%, but fresh on the audience score scale with a 66%. So all told, it's actually looking better than Mr. Little, who only hit 41% with audiences. Who hated Stuart Little? What did you think you were getting? It's a talking mouse. Michael J. Fox, you get what you pay for.
Is it just me, or did he seem a little disappointed?
Unless, of course, you paid to see The Sixth Sense. In that case, you got a whole lot more than just a thriller. One of the raddest turns in film history helped woo critics and audiences, as Night's breakout hit landed at 86% on the tomato meter and 90% with the normies. Unbreakable continued the trend of good with critics, better with the schmoes, to the tune of 70% in the veggie patch and 77% with the audience. Signs would pile on the freshness with a 75% tomato meter, but then The Village began a slide that threatened to sideline Shyamalan's career way too early. The period piece, wink wink, hit just 43%, then Lady in the Water sunk to 25%. It's worth noting that audiences dug these pieces a little more, but still in rotten territory. The Happening hit an all-time low in 2008 when it thudded with a 24% for the audience and an abysmal 17% on the tomato meter. That's gonna be a yikes, but we weren't done doing the limbo. How low can you go?
Hey, why can't anybody give me a damn second?
The Last Airbender was about as rocky a bottom as it gets. 5% on the tomato meter. It cost an estimated $150 million to accomplish that. Somehow it did rise up to 30% with the audience, but by this point the critical stench associated with M was so potent that when Devil hit theaters a few months later, a film that he wrote the story for and produced, his name was barely visible in the marketing materials. It did okay, 49% on the tomato meter, but then 2013 brought us right back down to, well, After Earth was 12%. It's a bummer of a time for Shyamalan fans like me. You root for the guy, but I remember seeing his name attached to movie trailers and audible laughs happening in the theaters where those previews were playing. He'd become a punchline in the industry, a golden boy who could never live up to his early promise.
Why are people gonna suddenly take me seriously?
But like a hungry boxer who had fallen on hard times, he went back to his roots, self-financing his next effort, 2015's The Visit, and as a result, he was back in fresh territory when the found footage thriller notched 68% on the Maitre de Tomato. But it wasn't until 2016's Split that both critics and audiences agreed that Night was truly back.
Your heart is pure. Rejoice!
78% on the TM, 79% with audiences, and I was in a month's early screening of that flick when the twist happened at the very end. The crowd went bonkers, nuts. Minds were lost, strangers' arms grabbed. It was like Yoda just lit up his lightsaber again. Mass hysteria in the coolest, safest sense of the word. More recently, Glass and Old both missed out with being fresh with critics, though Glass cut into Freshville with the audience at 67%. So where do we go from here? Some say he's back, others contend he'll never reach the heights of his first 3 releases. Sorry, Stuart, his first 4 wide releases. I think and hope he has a long, productive career ahead of him. As of today, his best scores on either metric are The Sixth Sense. I caught it again last night, and not only is it worthy of those gaudy digits, but it might be the last movie where Bruce Willis has hair? I think, maybe? We should investigate that. The Sixth Sense gets the W in round 2, and we're just looking for another movie to step up and make this competitive.
And one of us has made a gross error and wasted the other person's valuable time.
Round 3, characters. Oh, we got a shot here and a round that will be won by the individual film that features the best characters. Individuals, ensembles. I'm so bummed I haven't seen Knock at the Cabin yet, and without kicking a movie while it's down, if we add in The Last Airbender source material, stick a fork in round 3, because that's winning.
Why are you acting this way?
But we can only go by the movie, and well, you can bend all the air you want. Don't hold your breath here. The film that will likely emerge as the winner in this round either needs to feature a monster cavalcade of memorable roles and performances, or star big names that shine in one of the best films of their storied career, or maybe we can aim for both. The Sixth Sense gave us Bruce Willis near his apex back in '99. We also got Donnie Wahlberg post New Kids on the Block, but pre his TV stardom days. Does he help his brothers with a burger joint? Was it Wahlburgers? Ate there one time. Solid burger, really good pale ale.
Nice answer.
Obviously, that was a breakout role for Haley Joel Osment as well, but what really struck me upon rewatching it is how amazing Toni Collette is throughout the film. Bruce is the star, carries the load, but Collette lends such an endearing humanity, and we feel such empathy thanks to her emotional, raw, last straw sort of presence. It's great stuff. But both The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable have limited casts, albeit ones that make the most of their time on screen. And reuniting Die Hard and Pulp Fiction alums Bruce and Samuel L. Jackson was a stroke of genius by Shyamalan.
I think this is where we shake hands.
Then Signs amped up the star power even more, featuring a pre-Nutbar Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix, Kieran Culkin, and Abigail Breslin. Oh, and there's E.T.'s in it. Did y'all know that? They're there. Plus Cherry Jones. Comedy nerds like myself will also note the appearance of Michael Showalter, who got his first start on MTV with The State. I'm Doug, man. I'm out of here. Anybody remember that? All right, moving on. Okay, The Village. Now that's a real contender. We've dealt with family units thus far, but now we got a whole little township trying to keep mysterious woodland creatures at bay. William Hurt, Sigourney Weaver, Brendan Gleeson and company play the town elders. The youngins coming up include Judy Greer, Bryce Dallas Howard, Joaquin Phoenix, and Adrian Brody, plus a super precocious Jesse Eisenberg. I was so bummed watching that movie in theaters. I still maintain that the trailers promised a very different flick, but upon revisiting it, I think it's one of Knight's best efforts and certainly a shining example of what a killer ensemble cast can do. But sometimes you can have killer and ensemble all within one human being. Enter Kevin Wendell Crumb. Perfectly played by James McAvoy, Crumb has a whole bunch of folks living inside his head, no less than 23, and by the end of the film's Split, a new, scarier creature emerges from the pack. So while that film's setting is relatively isolated, like most of Knight's work, there's so many different characters that the audience gets to meet, plus Anya Taylor-Joy and a very bad uncle. Bad uncle. I'm tempted to take Split here because it's a great film, but as far as cast goes, the follow-up, Glass, tossed Sarah Paulson, Samuel L. Jackson, and Bruce Willis, back starring this time, into the Vitamix. Glass may not be as rotten in my household as was on the tomato meter, but there's no arguing that the talent assembled, and their performances therein, are worthy of winning the point in round 3. Knock at the Cabin has an impressive collection of people, but for today, Glass gets on the board and cuts the lead of The Sixth Sense in half.
Good for you.
Round 4, memorable moments. But back to that breakout hit and Toni Collette. My goodness, that woman is a revelation in The Sixth Sense. So yeah, we love the twists and turns and reveals, but for me, it's the moment when she's at her wit's end, trying to understand her son Cole. They're stuck in traffic, it's some sort of accident ahead, and he's telling her his secret finally. Her mom is involved, she did end up going to that dance recital decades ago, tears flow, and bam, that's how you close out a winning piece. And the lead up to that ain't bad either. The terrifying opening that veers from a champagne celebration to a break-in to a shooting, it locks the audience in for a creepy thrill ride. I also love the scares brought by the many ghosts that Cole interacts with. And then of course we have the scene.
I see dead people.
The line delivery is perfect, as is Willis's reaction that goes from psychiatrist to just middle-aged dude peeing himself like the rest of us. The denouement was a massive reveal and a beautiful close to a relationship gone too soon. It kind of reminded me of Ghost in a way. Speaking of who wins in a fight, in their prime, Bruce Willis or Patrick Swayze? You got Dalton from Double Deuce or John McClane? Comment below.
I want you to remember that it's a job. It's nothing personal.
Old was a really sweet treatise on aging at the beach. It was basically like watching the state of Florida in super fast forward mode, but it did come with some stupendous getting old in a hurry thrills. Meanwhile, The Visit utilized found footage to conjure jump scares at the grandparents' house, both inside and underneath. Remember seeing Granny crawl around under the first floor? Someone get that lady her Wednesday pills. And I can't even defend The Last Airbender. Well, maybe a little. For all the criticisms that you can rightfully lob at this misfire, the special effects are cool, and a lot of the fight scenes stand out. Shout out to Sean Tube and Asif Manvi for doing their very best to inject some acting chops and personality into this thing. All right, can we talk about Devil now?
Bro, take it easy, okay?
It's only 80 minutes, but you're on the edge of your seat the whole show. Strangers stuck in an elevator. One of them may in fact be the Dark Lord Satan, and the lights flickering indicate that a kill is just around the corner. Very inventive, simple yet scary, and when you see a face pop onto the security cam feed, it jolts you to the core. But for me, Signs has pound for pound the best moments of any Shyamalan project. Yes, including you, Stuart, you adorable mouse bastard. Crop circles? I'm in. It's one of Night's most straightforward tales, but the ride is expertly paced and fraught with jumps, creeps, and chills. We don't know what's causing those crop thingies, but tucking your daughter in at night and glancing out the window indicates that the perpetrators may not be of this earth. Then we get the flashlight drop and seeing a green thing in the cornfields that doesn't look like a stalk. I personally enjoy the creature in the pantry scene, while we cut back to the homestead and Joaquin Phoenix is glued to the news, where we see one of the scariest moments I've ever experienced in a movie theater. The birthday party. Ooh, that's one frightening looking being, and I don't think it comes here in peace. Now, some folks will argue that the end of this film, when we find out these visitors are allergic to water, is the weak link. Why would they come to a planet that's 70% water if they were allergic? Maybe because they were really keen on harvesting the other 30%. Do you know how fast we'd be on Neptune if there was oil discovered there? I don't care if it's 99% deadly. If there's black gold Texas tea to be found, humans are going.
There you go.
Then we get the harrowing backstory of Mel losing his wife in an accident. The guy who accidentally hit her is the director of the movie.
Tom, I'll need a ride home.
There's fantastic comedy in the flick that doesn't detract from the scares. Signs is basically one long iconic moment. Might be my favorite of all the M. Night Shyamalan flicks, and it does enough here to earn the point and get on the board. Signs wins round 4, and now it's a Sixth Sense 2, Glass 1, and Signs 1.
Did someone save me?
I think someone did.
And now it's time for the wild card round, a toast to world peace. Well, that certainly doesn't happen in Signs. Although I could argue that us humans really came together to defeat ETs using a primitive method, and maybe afterwards we all got along better. Of course, then you have The Village, which is a population of, 50 people at the most? And even that tiny group can't see eye to eye.
It is too painful. I cannot bear it.
So instead of figuring out which movie got us the closest to world peace, I'll instead borrow from Andie MacDowell in Groundhog Day. She likes to toast world peace while sipping on a sweet vermouth with a twist.
Bing!
Come on, did you think Uncle Mark wasn't gonna highlight all the shocking turns and revelatory twists that make Night's films purr? In fact, if this round was about world peace, the winner might have been The Last Airbender. Think about it. The flick is about uniting the 4 elements and its denizens in each, and it was pretty much universally panned. We all hated it, so all Earthlings can agree on stuff. But no, I want to see once and for all which one of the Shyamalan flicks took us on the best ride and gave us the twistiest, twist.
Very funny.
The Sixth Sense is a good place to start. Oh, did I mention I'm spoiling stuff here? Because I am. Here's a warm-up one. The mouse can talk and do a Marty McFly impression. Thank you for your time, Stuart. Okay, so Bruce Willis was in fact a ghost as he was trying to help a young boy who sees dead people. It's an all-timer and particularly well played from a casting standpoint. This is A-lister Bruce Willis in 1999. The dude never dies in anything. Hell, he's the guy from Die Hard. He might have eaten it in Death Becomes Her, I can't remember, but in a thriller like this, come on. It's a great surprise ending. It's also fun to go back and watch from young Cole's perspective. Did he know his shrink was dead? Did he find out along the way? Did he know it all along? Never realized it? The movie toys with all 3 possibilities very, very well. Unbreakable also had a sizable pivot. In that, David Dunn's superhero power was unearthed not by a train accident. I mean, yeah, the train crashed, but it was on purpose in a stunt devised by Mr. Glass specifically to see if there was an opposite indestructible force to his incredibly frail body.
I know who I am.
The Visit had a fun one too. So we're going to see the grandparents, or at least we assume that these elders are related to us. I mean, they're old, right? They gotta be Pop and Nana. Nope, they're just escaped mental patients on the loose. The upside is you might be able to talk them into more free candy. Okay, so there's tons of goodies when it comes to being shocked by an ending courtesy of M. Night Shyamalan. For me, this comes down to a three-way brawl. You got your Sixth Sense, the most famous turn of all, so it's in the triangle. Then we have Split, when it's learned that the events we just witnessed take place in the same universe as Unbreakable did.
This is so cool.
Both of these turns involve Bruce Willis. The Sixth Sense employed his fame and penchant for not dying, which is easy to trick us. Split had him working in the weeds like a lion, patiently waiting until just before the credits rolled to pounce. But my third finalist might be the best, and it doesn't involve Bruno, the one we talk about, not the one from Encanto. The Village! I know, it left you cold that we didn't actually get to battle a bunch of hungry monsters in the forest. I was bummed too. But the twist is that we're not actually in the 1800s. It's modern day, and this community is comprised of folks so bitter about tragic twists and turns in their own existences that they band together to form a society that harkens back to a simpler time. You know, one without medicine or dentists. I think that's my winner in this round. It was a complete shock, and for a few moments the film does play with the concept that maybe there actually are wolf-like things hiding just beyond the wooded barrier.
You're not tricking me, are you?
Remember, the Sixth Sense reveal just affected one guy and his perception of reality. The Village messed with everyone on the property. Props to the elders for holding on to that simple life for as long as you could. But you can't tell me that William Hurt and Sigourney Weaver never snuck out to grab some Arby's when everyone else was asleep. They shunned the modern world technically. They know who LeBron and Beyonce are, right? They probably saw The Sixth Sense in theaters like the rest of us. The Village gets the final point of the day, which means that The Sixth Sense and its 2 overall points get the victory in this epic M. Night Shyamalan movie twister.
Turned it around with positive thinking.
Congrats to those 2 movies, and Signs and Glass for getting on the scoreboard in one of the most competitive matches in the history of this here program, which you can now watch in convenient playlist form on the YouTube. Head on over, subscribe to the Rotten Tomatoes channel, and let the good times roll. You got RoboCop versus Terminator, Batman versus Superman. One time we made all the James Bonds battle each other. It's a fun show. I like hosting it. Thanks for watching. Comment below with your favorite M. Night Shyamalan talking picture. And until next time, I'm Mark Ellis reminding you to swing away.